Education. It is at the core of our society. It runs like a highway through our lives, from early years learning through primary and secondary school, onto tertiary education, and hopefully lifelong learning of knowledge. For every one of us, education provides the skills for good employment and for well-being. Every one of us here has been to school. Some of you will have been to university. And hopefully your education experience has been a positive one. It's helped you develop and provided you with many opportunities. So for our whole society, an educated workforce is a productive one. There is less call on health, welfare and justice systems and better social cohesion. So it is in all of our interests, and it is our responsibility to ensure that every child gets a good education. But unfortunately, this is not always so. Australia has a good education system, but not a great one. In some areas, we do achieve high levels, but there is a long tail of children who are not achieving minimal educational outcomes. And these children predominantly go to school in low socioeconomic areas. Children in these communities are faced with a wide range of challenges which can negatively impact on their education. It can be poor living environments, family under or unemployment, lack of resources, lack of access to early years learning and therefore less school readiness. Children from disadvantaged families can often be up to 3 years developmentally behind their peers when they start school. And even with interventions at the schools, this is hard to bridge the gap. It often leads children to become disengaged in education, high absenteeism, low self-esteem, and non-completion of school. Research overwhelmingly shows that low levels of academic achievement lead to low employment, health issues, low life expectancy, higher rates of incarceration, low life opportunities, and then the cycle begins with the next generation of children. Not long ago, I visited a school only about 30 minutes from here. The families, a lot of them are single-parent families. They high rates of unemployment, and they face a range of issues. Many of the children come to school, they often have not had any breakfast and don't have any lunch. And some of them driveway surf. This may sound pretty cool, but it's when a parent, and it's usually a mother who has had to leave home because of either domestic violence or because they haven't been able to pay the rent, and they, with their children, live in their cars, in other people's driveways, using their toilets and showers until their family and friends have had enough, and then they have to move on to another driveway. This school, as well as trying to feed and clothe the children, they also run a program to try and teach them how to be safe from sexual abuse. But as children are vulnerable and often not able to protect themselves, they often can't avoid this. And so they are taught how to cope, how not to feel embarrassed and not to feel guilty. These children are between 3 and 8 years of age, and they live not far from here. In a wealthy country like ours, this should not be happening. So we at the Fogarty Foundation had a look around the world to see what other people were doing to address disadvantage through education. One of the places I visited was Camden, New Jersey. Camden is a really poor city and probably better known for its urban decay and its racial unrest. So it is one of the most violent cities in the States. I travelled from New York by train down to Pennsylvania and then caught a taxi across to Camden. When I spoke to the taxi driver and told him where I was wanting to go, he said, "Really? You want to go there?" So I approached my visit with a lot of trepidation, but when I got there, I was so impressed with what I saw. Just over 20 years ago, a group of community leaders got together to say how could they turn around their city, how could they make a change in it. Led by Dr. Gloria Santiago from the Camden Rutgers University, they decided that if their city was going to have a chance, they needed to educate their young people and they needed to get the whole community involved. So they established a charter school. They called it the Camden Leap Academy. The academy takes children from birth through to high school graduation. It's open 6 days a week and most days of the year. And it has over 60 different organisations involved in the school, including the city's hospital. So every family member of children attending the school get free medical attention, and in the States that's almost unheard of. They have 5 academies there, and one of them is to help build the capacity of the parents, because we do know that good parental support is vital to a child's education. This school now has 100% high school graduation and 100% college acceptance. That also is nearly unheard of. And it is because the community has joined together to raise the children. I left there feeling so inspired, knowing that they had done something very special and something that we could learn from. Every one of us here has probably heard the African proverb that it takes a village to raise a child. Unfortunately, in our modern and affluent society, perhaps we have lost our village. And if we have, how do we build it? How do we build and strengthen our communities? And I think that one way we can do this, and particularly when we are thinking about how we're going to support our children, is to make the school a hub. It's to bring the community services into the school. It can be providing breakfasts through their breakfast clubs, supported playgroups that provide parenting skills as well as early years learning for the children, child health nurses, speech therapists, and sometimes financial management skills for the parents. However, it is difficult to bring some of these services onto the site, and government department regulations sometimes make it difficult for them to work across the sectors. But some schools are doing this really well, and it's usually because they have a strong leader. They have a principal who's strategic and who knows how to connect with the community and bring that community into the school. So we got together a group of people across the education sectors, from universities, not-for-profit organisations, and from business, to see what we could do. We saw that some of these principals are doing a great job, and like business, it is quite often successful businesses are run by a strong leader. So we formed Fogarty Advance. This is a program where we work with schools in low socioeconomic areas, and we work with the schools for 3 years on their own individual needs within the community. Advance provides coursework which can go towards a Masters of School Leadership. Each principal has a mentor that works with them on their particular needs. And we build a cohort of other schools that, across the sector, primary and secondary school, government and Catholic. And this builds a strong support network for the school leadership team going on. And it is also about how the schools can reach out into the community. It may be how you build a school board, how you work best with the board members. A school might want to build a vegetable garden. How do you get the local hardware store to come and help with equipment and know-how? It might be bringing mentors into the school to help the children with their career possibilities. There are people here today who run businesses, are interested in social policy, who might be involved with not-for-profit organisations. Every one of us can be involved with education. It might be becoming a mentor for either a student or for a principal. It could be reading to children at a school where often they don't have parents to read to them. Or it could be joining a school board. I don't think that I can sum it up any better than a quote by Krista McAuliffe. She was a high school teacher in America who was invited to be part of the Challenger 13 space shuttle mission, which unfortunately ended so badly. But when asked what it felt like to be part of a space shuttle mission and to be touching the future, Krista replied, "I'm a teacher. I touch the future every day." Education is our children's future. It can transform lives, and it is our challenge to ensure and to encourage that every child has the best possible education so that they can have the future that they deserve. Thank you.